I mean, of course, and with me, the life I've had with him has been extraordinary. It's just spanned 4 decades, and I can't even imagine. I mean, all the love and arguing and good times and bad times. No, it was a life. We lived life fully, and his wit and his sense of humor, you know, always being able to come back when you're having arguments or something, to the wit and sense of humor and shedding your egos, and he could always get back to being John. I could get back to being Joan. And anyway, I'm talking about me. I'm going to talk about the kids. But the legacy is in his children. He has 4 children from 2 different moms, and his first children, John and Katie, I'm sure you all know John, came from his wife who died of breast cancer. Her name was Joan, and she died after John was born. But he's ended up with 4, and Elizabeth McGee. He's ended up with these 4 amazing, unique, brilliant individuals who are terrifying. I remember when John was young, and he started going off to extreme skiing, and then he was climbing El Capitan, and then, you know, all this stuff he does, and John being terrified and wondering how this amazing man came out of him. And Katie is an adventurer too. She ended up in Mexico, and yesterday she just flew back and moved back to the United States after 25 years gone. So, and she couldn't make it. But if you want to get to know her, she's an amazing woman, and worth getting to know. And you know Elizabeth and McGee, and just each of his 4 kids are independent thinkers. They think for themselves. They have the intelligence, they have the wit, the humor. I mean, I'm glad to know 4 really incredible people, and I'm grateful that John shared that part of his life with me. They may not be so grateful, but I'm grateful. Anyway, I want to thank you all for coming, and please share more of your stories, because John really left a footprint here, and he left a footprint in San Francisco. He left probably, you know, a 6.9 on the Richter scale footprint there. And the Loma Prieta earthquake in '89 was caused by John. But you know, I miss him horribly. He's just my best friend, my confidant. It was amazing to go from being friends to falling in love and getting married and having kids and having a child who had to go to the hospital all the time while John got to turn his back and have fun at the planning commission, and he got to save the community. Well, you know, but no, he was a wonderful dad. He gave so much to his kids and wanting to save them. He was always confused, like Columbo, about how powerless you are over how unique your children are. I mean, you don't want to be powerless over that. I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to start saying weird things. But anyway, he was also an incredible husband, father. Children confused him, but he, you know, he learned so much from them, and he taught them so much, I think. Anyway, they speak better for themselves, but I loved seeing him also as a family man and the legacy he left in those 4 kids. Thanks. Yeah.
That's pretty big. Anybody else want to say anything? How are we all feeling? Lovely, warm, gorgeous day. Anyone else want to say something? Get a little hot?
Well, I remember John from skiing.
That's different.
Yeah. I met him when he had his hip replaced. And why that had to happen, I don't know. But anyway, I met him at the post office, and he was feeling really gloomy about it because it had just, I guess he was just out. And then over the years, you know, I'd see John, and I broke my leg, and I was having a party that night, but I broke my leg, and John came to the party and came up afterwards and wondered what had happened. We thought he had the wrong night. Anyway, then the next thing I heard on the skiing episode was he was skiing in the half pipe.
Right.
I remember that one because I had a similar injury. He had dislocated his shoulder in the half pipe. So John and I were about the same age, and we were sort of, I guess, the same sort of not perfect skiers. But we had a lot of fun. Anyway,
Good for you.
Anyway, that's how I remember.
Thanks.
Plus, I thank him for all of the wonderful things he did expand on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really his monument.
Speaking of the hip replacement,
Yeah.
John loved to poke fun of himself also, and he had this hip replacement, as we all know now. And sometime later, went down to Gunny to have, I don't know, a CAT scan or an MRI or something, and the technician said, "Mr. Banker, do you have any replacement body parts?" I said, "Well, I have a hip." He said, "Well, it doesn't happen often, but when you go in the machine, it can cause the metal to heat up." And this really doesn't happen often, but sometimes that can get kind of uncomfortable. So you let me know right away if things start to get warm in your hip. And she left the room. And John's lying there in the machine, and he's lying there in the machine, and the hip starts getting warm. And it started getting a little warmer, and he knew he wasn't supposed to move around, but it was kind of starting to hurt. Finally, he pushed a button or called for help or whatever it was. And the tech came in, and he told her that he was in pain and cooking from the inside out. She said, "Oh, Mr. Banker, I'm so sorry. I got called away. I haven't turned the machine on yet."
Isn't that true? That's so true.
Anybody else?
I would like to know what happened to John's backpack. Because for the last 5 years of his life, or the last 5 years I really knew him well, Happy would refer to John's backpack as his blankie. Because it went everywhere he went.
I have it.
Good. Glad to know.
Yes.
Interestingly, it'd be good to know what was in it because he never brought lunch. He didn't have sunscreen. He barely had any water. So what was in the thing?
New Yorker magazine,
New Yorker magazine.
and Nicorette gum.
He could never get over that gum.
Anybody else? I just want to make sure if any of this gang over here, we are having a gathering at the Banker household, 9 Ruth's Road. And I think hopefully all of you can come by at least for a few minutes. I know Saturdays are busy for some people, but I know we'd like to just gather some more. Anybody else have a story they want to tell before we kind of wrap this up? I just want to...
As John would say, one more thing.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, one more thing. So my one more thing is how much I think everybody standing here knows and understands, and sitting here, knows and understands how much he did for our community, how much he did for our life, our lifestyle, how much he did to help protect our world, and how fabulous that is to leave a legacy like that to all of us. And we're going to forever be grateful about that legacy he left us, because we are happier people in our beautiful natural home thanks to all the things that he did for us and for our world and for our community that we all love and adore so much. So let's hear it for John. Woo!
Woo!
Thank you for doing this.
Okay, let's go.
Did you want to say something?
Okay.
I guess, I don't know, I'm his daughter, and, like, 50 years younger than him, or 52 years younger than him, and was able to get really close with him, in my adult years. I guess I'm just really happy and super honored to have had such a wonderful, like person and human in my life, and being kind of like a really hyper emotional, scattered person, and he is like very calm and wise and logical, like he taught me a lot, and I think think the perspective of a lawyer can be very wise and just like having kind of a emotionless debates and like making arguments interesting. And he just taught me some things about, you know, not like needing to be right or having my ego so involved in situations. And I don't know, I ended up becoming a painter, and I make really kind of like psychedelic, cosmic, out there artwork. And I would just love, because he'd like stare at my paintings and be like, somehow I had something to do with this, you know, and he really loved and appreciated it. And you know, we had some really, really beautiful, profound, deep moments together. In the past like 10 years we became really close, and I'm really grateful for that, and that, you know, I spent a lot of time at home the past like 4 years, like seeing that he was getting old. And you know, we're very, very different people, but like share a very kind of weird, goofy sense of humor together. I don't know, I could say a lot, but I just guess that I'm just very grateful that I got to connect with him and have him be such an inspiration and part of my life.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Anyone else? Okay, well, Joan has got some wine and beverages, and you guys all dropped some food by, which is lovely. I kept seeing more people coming and coming and coming. So, and thanks to chefs in the kitchen today and everything like that. The house smells fabulous because they've been cooking there. So 9 Roos Road, for any of you who might not know, I imagine everyone here knows exactly where these guys live. So take your time, cars don't run over bikers, and let's get there safely and celebrate John some more.
Yes.
All right? Yeah, thank you everyone. Good job, everybody. Take a chance.